There we are. Hello, hello. Happy Monday. I hope everyone is well, whoever hops on and joins me. My name is Linda Downey, and this is an episode of the Unconditioned Life podcast. This is streaming in multiple places, so you might be coming across this on Facebook. You might be coming across this in LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever it is. So please say hello if you're listening now, or if you watch the replay or listen again in the future. I would love to just say hello to you. So welcome to this episode. And what I wanted to really talk with you about, I'll get into in just a minute, is about how you can use the way that your brain works. Hello, somebody just said hello. How you can use the way that your brain works, how you can actually make that work for you to shift your experience of your life. So that's what we're gonna dive into in just a moment. But if I'm new to you, if you've not come across me before, my name is Linda Downey. I am a transformational coach, which means I help people rapidly move through into a transformation, which is creating something that wasn't there before. So whatever results, outcomes that they want. So transformational health and spiritual coach, primarily. Health is my background, health and wellness. So I'm also a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. I've worked with people in the past on autoimmune conditions and fatigue and all that because I had that. That was my life. That was my journey and my background. So I got very interested in it and how I could fix it. And now I feel like the most important piece of that is how you think and feel, which will then affect how your physical body works. So, hey, Trish. Trish says hi from, snowy Kansas. It's snowing, huh? Well, I'm sorry to hear that, but thank you for joining me. What else could you do on a snowy day, right? So this conversation is all about understanding how your brain works. And I did a talk about this last week with my friend Christy, if you ever catch my lives with Christy on Fridays. But what we talked about were the neuromodulators. Neuromodulators are certain compounds in the brain that show up and help us actually really filter our world. So if you just think about it right now, like think about today, how your day went, all of the data that is coming into your brain all the time, in every moment, second by second, what you see, what you're hearing, especially on social media, right? It just keeps coming at us. So it would be really difficult, actually impossible, for the brain to take in and interpret all of that data all the time. So we subconsciously set up like a filtering system. What are the things that I really are important to me? What are the things that I want to focus on? And then the brain says, got it, I'm on it. And we'll start to only pay attention to those things. And then you'll get more of those kinds of things. So that's the modulators, the neuromodulators. Before I really learned about this, and what I'm going to talk to you about is a system. It's called the reticular activating system. So it's a system of compounds in the brain, and most people recognize them as neurotransmitters. What a transmitter does is just relays information, right? Transmits from here to here. But these compounds that I'm going to talk with you about have a little bit more than just transmitting information. They have more of a role to do. They are going to actually help filter out and focus on. So they really will create your experience. Because if you have, let's just say, let's make it easy. Let's say there's 100 things in front of you to focus on, and the brain is really comfortable at focusing on 20. It's going to get the message from you, what are the 20 things that are most important? And then the other 80, it's not going to really pay much attention to. Those other 80 things, they're still there, but they're not going to even enter into your recognition, your understanding. You're not even going to notice them. And so remember that, because I'm going to come back to that in a second. But first, let me tell you what these neuromodulators are. So they are compounds, as I said, and they have different roles. The first one is serotonin. So if you've ever heard of serotonin, the job that serotonin does is it focuses on things right now in your environment. So they're things that you can see and experience right now that give you a sense of satisfaction, appreciation, you're happy for them. So let's just say you're sitting in your family room and you're looking around at your family and everybody's hanging out together and your heart goes, oh, that makes me so happy. I'm so happy to be here right now. Look at my family. That feeling was serotonin. So serotonin tells you what you appreciate and are grateful for right now that you can see. All right, so that's the first one, serotonin. The second one is dopamine. And dopamine's job is more about what do I want to get and achieve. So it makes you feel good, but it's spurring you into action to go and get something, create something, attain something. So it's more about what's in the future for you. So what do you want to have? You would use dopamine to focus on that. Okay. A third one that I want to share with you is called acetylcholine. And acetylcholine, its job is the focus part. What it does when your body's producing acetylcholine, you can focus. So when you are focusing on the things that are making you happy and feel good, the serotonin things, right? Your family all sitting around and everybody's getting along and it's a wonderful experience. When you're in that place, you have elevated serotonin, elevated acetylcholine, and now you're focusing on what feels good. The more you do that, remember the 20 and the 80, right? If there's 100 things in your world and 20 of them make you feel good and 80 of them not so much, maybe they don't make you feel bad, but they don't make you feel good. They just are. And you want to start to get your life experience to feel good. You want to feel better than you have been. You want to not be sad and depressed as much, or you just want to feel better in your life. You want to start to develop that particular system, the mix of serotonin and acetylcholine, because then you're going to start to practice focusing on the things that make you feel good. That's a gratitude practice. So if you've ever heard of doing a gratitude practice, the reason why it makes sense. This is the science behind it. Hi, somebody else said hi. So for a lot of you, when you're saying hi, I so appreciate that you do. Depending on where you are, it might just tell me Facebook user. So I don't know your name. So I'll go back and look later and see. But thank you for saying hi. I just want to acknowledge that as people take the time to do it. But so a gratitude practice, you're telling your brain, if you've got 100 things to look at today, I want you to notice the 20 that make me feel good. If you don't tell your brain to do that, in fact, most people's brains are wired to focus, the acetylcholine, and like epinephrine, which is arousal, which is like a little bit of fight or flight, right? When you're cortisol, when you're in stress, epinephrine and cortisol is kicked up. And now you're going to focus on the problems. Now your brain is going to say, out of the 100 things in front of me, I'm going to focus on the 20 things that are the most upsetting. I'm going to focus on the 20 things that are a problem, because you've developed that filter system. That's the parameters that you gave your filtering system to focus on. And so now it will. And so all day, every day, what you're noticing is more of what's a problem, what has you stressed out, right? And the level of, how do I want to say, the level of arousal, how much it makes you stressed out, how upsetting it is, will be a match as well. So if you're always looking to be really stressed, your brain is wired that way, right? And so it's very hard until you start to do some practices, specific practices, to change this system. It's in the back of the brain, right? This neuromodulating system so that you start to experience your world in a different way. When we talk about rewiring the brain, and that is, I'm going to say, I do a lot of things with my clients, and the rewiring, I'm going to say, is 25% of it, 30% of it. We're changing a lot, but the rewiring part is one piece of that. We also have to change other things so that people can have a different life experience. Otherwise, they're always in the same patterns, the same things that they've been experiencing. So this is one piece of the rewiring, okay, is starting to change your filters and tap into different neuromodulators. When I did this conversation last week with my friend Christy, if you caught that at all, we talked about it's like having a playlist. So think of a music playlist. If you like to listen to country music, and you tell your filter system, you put into your playlist, wherever you listen to your music from, country or 70s rock. I only want 70s rock. Then that playlist is just going to bring up 70s rock or country, right? Whatever it is. So the system is working the same way in your brain. If it's been programmed, only notice the problems, only notice the things that I need to be afraid of, then that's what's going to keep coming in. And again, remember, if there's 100 things out in front of you, if you're just joining me, we're talking about a filtering system for what you notice and experience. So if there's 100 things in front of you, it's too much for your brain to take in. It's got to decide what are the things that I'm going to actually notice? What are the things I'm going to be aware of? What are the things am I going to report to you so that you pay attention to them? So if you're wired with acetylcholine and cortisol and epinephrine, what you're noticing are things to be afraid of, things to be stressed out about, all of that. Now you may be thinking, no, I really have things to be stressed out about. I'm sure you do. I'm sure that they're there in those 100 things, in that field of 100 pieces of data for your brain to focus on. They're there, but you have trained your brain to find those 20 things and to not find the other 80 that could make you feel good, make you feel happy. Are you getting what I'm putting down? Let me know if this is making sense. Oh, hi, Linda Tantalis. Hi, I just saw this. I enjoy your chat. Good. I'm glad that you saw it. Thanks for joining. I got a hair right there. Okay. So serotonin, as I just said, is all about being in the moment, looking in your environment and seeing what makes you happy, and then having a feeling and a response of appreciation and gratitude for that. The dopamine, as I mentioned, is all about what you want to attain. So the practices for that would be, like, let's just say you want to get a new car. And the reticular activating system, you may have heard about it in these terms, right? If you want a black Corvette, and that's the car, you saw it somewhere on the internet, and now every time you go out on the road, in all of the cars that go by, if there is one, you're going to notice the black Corvette, whereas I wouldn't notice it because that's not what I'm thinking about getting, right? But you would. So that's one way that most people have heard of this system. How it works is that once you are aware of something, you'll start to notice it. Okay. So the dopamine is a neuromodulator that's present in the system. And if you want to start to create things in your life that are not yet there, they're not what you're currently experiencing, but you'd like to have them, then what you want to do is start to focus on what it would be like to have that. So for the black Corvette, what would it be like to sit in it? What are the seats like? Like you're like down low and it's like a torpedo, right? In the Corvette. So like you sit down low and you're looking right out over the dashboard, or the music system, or how fast it goes, whatever it is. You start to think about that and experience it. And now your brain is going to focus on that. And here's what's going to happen. Your subconscious, you're telling your brain, I want that. Or with the serotonin, you're telling your brain, I really like this. I want more of this. I want that car. Now your subconscious is listening to that system, and it's going to figure out ways to go get the car in some way. It's going to figure out, how can I implement things more in order to make me reach that goal. So a strategy or a practice that people talk about to make things happen is to every day write them down and visualize. There's another whole piece of it about the energy around that. I don't even want to talk about that today. We'll do that in another conversation, okay? We'll meet together on another Monday and we'll talk about that piece of it. This is really about the science, the brain, the neuropsychology, and the neurophysiology of how the brain works, and then how you go and create your life, right? We're not just happenstance beings walking around. We're made in a very particular way, and we create our life in a very particular way. This is the neurophysiology behind how that happens. So when you put a practice in place of feeling grateful and appreciative, your brain will notice more and more things to be grateful and appreciative for. And then what happens? Your subconscious says, so somebody just asked me, is this manifestation? This is the science part of manifestation. Manifestation, to my understanding and how I've seen it work in my own life, also has an energetic part, which is, like I said, we're not going to talk about that tonight, but this is the science part. So energy and science, God, spirituality, science, to me, they're not different. To me, there's the energetic part, and then how it actually plays out is the science part. That's how I understand it. So this is the science part. What does the brain actually do? So the brain, when you're focusing on appreciation and gratitude, you tell the brain, these are the things I'm happy for. The brain says, got it. I'm going to go notice more of that. So I'm going to bring you more of that. So every day when you start a gratitude practice, and you either write down what you're grateful for, or you spend some time in the morning, and then again before you go to bed, thinking about, what was I grateful for today? What really worked? Like, I'm grateful right now to be on this. Oh, hey, Donna. Thank you. Donna just said what her name was. So I'm grateful right now to be giving this podcast and to see people commenting and to see that people are watching. Like, I'm really grateful. I appreciate that. When I go to bed tonight, I'm going to go over that in my head before I fall asleep. I'm going to just be like, I was really grateful to have people be interested in the conversation, to have people comment, to want to listen. Thank you for that. Thank you that the things that I think are important and I like to share with people are also important to them. Then when I fall asleep, my subconscious, because that's what sleep is for, right? Your body is repairing. Your subconscious mind is unfolding the events of the day. It's also working on the things that you want to work on. Your subconscious is doing that while you sleep. So your conscious mind goes to sleep, but the subconscious mind gets very busy. So my mind tonight could then be going, oh, okay, great. You really liked that experience. So tomorrow I might wake up and go, oh, I have another great idea. This is something else I'm going to talk about next time, because my subconscious will think about that. So whatever you're grateful for, whatever happened today that you can notice, and you reinforce it right before you go to bed, so that your brain, when you're sleeping, says, I got it. Those are the things that you really like. Let me ask you, and if you want, you can put it in the comments, or you can just think to yourself, what do you usually think about when you go to bed? What do you usually allow your brain to marinate in? Everything that went wrong, right? You lay there and you worry about what you didn't get done, what went wrong during the day. Why did so-and-so say this? Why didn't I do that better? You're going over all of the things that were a problem, that you were upset about, right? I know I'm not the only one. That's how it used to be, what I used to do. And then you go to sleep, and now your subconscious, there's no judgment. Your subconscious isn't deciding, is that a good thing or a bad thing? It's just listening, going, oh, okay, that's what you want to focus on. So it's going to be paying attention to that and actually creating more of those kinds of experiences in your life. Instead of, if you focused on, so that's the serotonin part, like the gratitude. Let's take the dopamine part. The dopamine is what you use to actually create something, go after something, attain it, achieve it with focus, right? We always have the focus part. So let's just say you fall asleep. As you're falling asleep, you decide to go over in your head how you'd like it to be. Let's say you're in a relationship and the relationship isn't going well, and it seems like you're always fighting, or there's this gap in however you'd like it to be. And usually you lay in bed and you think about that. But now you switch and you go, as I fall asleep, I'm going to lay in bed and I'm going to imagine how I want it to be. I'm going to imagine that we get along really great, that we're sharing our hearts with each other, that our communication is good. And you just imagine how that would feel. Remember the black Corvette? If you're joining late, that didn't segue very well. I talked about a black Corvette a few minutes ago, like some goal that you wanted to attain, right? You visualize it. What would it be like to sit in that Corvette and listen to the sound system and go the speed, or whatever is your reason for liking a black Corvette? So the same thing, you're thinking about your relationship, and you lay in your bed and you imagine it's going well. We're talking really great. We're not getting defensive. We're not putting our guard up, whatever are the things. Then as you drift off to sleep, your subconscious is going to be paying attention. It's going to be going, oh, what we want to do is communicate better and let our guard down, not keep our heart guarded. We want to feel closer. Those are the things that you want. You focused on that before you went to sleep. Subconscious is on it. When you wake up in the morning, let's just say before you head off to work, there's a conversation. And now your subconscious is going to have you make a different choice. It's going to have you say, hold on, before you head out, can we just talk about this? Or I just want to say I love you and have a great day. Maybe you don't usually do that, but your subconscious says, go do that. Because when you fell asleep, that's what you were saying you wanted to experience. So I just gave you a really simple example, and it wouldn't necessarily happen one time going to sleep at night. But if you're focusing on what is a problem, what stresses you out, what you're upset about, and you let your brain marinate in that as it falls asleep, it's probably the first thing you think of when you get up, and you're reinforcing your filter system to find the 20 things out of 100, moment by moment by moment, right? Every moment we're taking in data, 20 things out of 100 that are a problem. And you're going to keep seeing in this moment. And the next moment you see these 20, and the next moment you see these 20. And before you know it, your all day long is just one continuous problem, and you're stressed, totally stressed out, right? You do the couple of tactics that I talked about. Focus on appreciation, gratitude, feeling good about what's going on, noticing it. As you go to sleep, get back into how it feels. How did it feel to sit with your family and watch TV together or play a game together? How did it feel to be in a relationship where you're sharing yourself? When you do that and you fall asleep, you've now created a different filter, and the subconscious says, got it? I'm going to come up with ways to attain that. That's the dopamine. How do I go out and get more of that? What do I need to do? So you'll figure out ways to implement. You'll figure out ways to figure it out more. So you really have 100% capability to shift your brain. You really do. And there's so much more that we could go into. I'm going to let that land. Remember, there's the focus part, which is the acetylcholine. This is a system of neuromodulators that work together. Serotonin makes you feel good and appreciative. By the way, if somebody has too much serotonin, because that's also part of the brain, is to modulate, make sure that you've got enough to get the results that you want, not too much, not too little. So if somebody's got way too much serotonin, then they're just going to be like, kind of like they're on drugs, right? Just blissed out all the time. Hey, Andrea, you're welcome. Just like blissed out on their couch. Everything's good. I don't need to take any action. I'm all happy all the time, right? That would be high levels of serotonin. If somebody had really high levels of dopamine, that would be like when people are manic or depressive, right? A manic depressive. So the manic part is when they're hyperly happy and excited. Oh my God, I want to do this and I want to do that. And I'm going to sign up for this course and I'm going to do that. Right? That would be hyperly manic. Too much dopamine. So it's a modulator. It's a system in your brain that modulates. It's really taking charge of. What's the filter you're interested in, Linda? What do you want to think about, Linda? Do you want to think about stress and problems? Do you want to think about feeling good? Do you want to think about goals you're looking to attain? What do you want to think about? Tell me what filter I should be focusing on. Then the focus is the acetylcholine, but your brain is, if it's, working well and with practice and you really finely tune this system, the brain is going to say, I don't want too much of that. I want enough to be in action. I want enough to feel good, but also get up and do my day, right? So that's how you can use this system to your benefit and shift how your life is occurring. And you do that. I just gave you a couple of practices just before you go to bed at night. I think if this is new for you, or even to reinforce it more, writing. Writing is better even than just thinking, because there's a connection from your brain to your hand. So before you fall asleep, you start to write out what you were happy and grateful for the day, and then what you would like to, what's not yet there, but you're going to write it as if it is, as if you're feeling it and experiencing it. So Linda says, if I'm honest with myself, I haven't been happy for a long time. And I really get that, Linda. And I'm sorry to hear that. I certainly know what it's like to live in that place. And I want to tell you, and Donna's on here, or if any of my other clients are on here, you can shift all of that. The work and the tools that we do is really about shifting your whole life experience, because here's what I believe, and it's not just me. I don't believe we're here to live an unhappy life. I don't think that's why we're created. I believe we are here created in order to have a life that we love, and in order to create the things, we create them. We don't just live at the effect of life smacking us in the face. How do I create what I want? That's why we're here, in my opinion. But I've seen it over and over and over again. We're just not taught the tools. We don't know how to make it go for us. We don't know how to rewire. And I gave you one piece of rewiring. There's so much more to it. So Allison says, I love your talks. Oh, good. And I could listen to you forever. Great. Thank you, Allison. I'm so glad that you're here. And listen, if anybody has any topics that you want to talk about that haven't occurred to me, I would love to hear that. Okay. So I'm going to end this episode in just a moment. This is an episode of my podcast called The Unconditioned Life. It's a pretty new podcast. So if you listen to podcasts, you can find it on Spotify, Amazon, I think Google, YouTube. So you can listen there. There's about 16 episodes so far, and I have some people lined up to talk with me. And then also this Thursday, the last Thursday of March, is a workshop, a monthly workshop. I'll put that link. I should have put that in. And that's all on fear. So fear is a particular way that you could be experiencing your life all over the place. And there's ways that you can change and navigate through living in a constant state of fear. And there's tools that we use. So if that interests you, look for the links to come to the workshop this Thursday on fear. Okay? So I thank you. I'm very grateful and appreciative. And I will reinforce that to my brain tonight when I go to sleep, that you're here and that we had this time together, and that this is making sense for you. Okay? So find something for yourself and start to marinate your brain in some other ways so you create different filters. Okay? All right. Have a great night. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.